Hello, everyone. Nice to see so many. Hi.
Hello.
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 I guess we wait just some more minutes before we get started. I expect Andrea to join at least. And in the meantime, you can fill in your attendance in our minutes. Hey, Patti, welcome.
Hello.
We're waiting for Andrea. You should join as well before we start. Andrea?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No problem. We didn't start before you came. I just shared the link to the minutes so people can register. Would you like to drive, Andrea, or should I drive it?
I can, yeah, sure. Let me just bring up the.
Great.
Where is it? Yeah. Can you see the?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Yeah. Welcome everyone to today's CDEvents working group. Today is May the 30th. As in, folks have signed in already, but feel free to add your name in there. Just add mine. Right. So we have quite a few things on the agenda today. But if there are other things that you would like to discuss, feel free to add them to the agenda. And then before we start, briefly, I just wanted to say I see some new faces to the meeting. Daniel, I believe you the first time joining. Did you want to say a couple of words about yourself or interest in CDEvents? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Sure, no problem. I did sort of semi-prepare. So I'm a developer, a team lead at a company called Bloomberg. We've heard about CDEvents about, I think, a year or two ago. We went to a virtual CDCon. It was the first time we heard about it. And I guess my team is an infrastructure team. And I guess our wider area is responsible for deployment as a whole. And my specific focus is on testing and validation. And we've been trying to figure out a way to standardize the output that's coming from different groups that are doing testing on their own. There's lots of different teams with lots of different testing needs. And we thought that CDEvents is a good way to standardize the communication between the different groups that are doing testing in our company. And we also have a lot of different deployment sort of managers, rollout things. And so we thought CDEvents is a good way to communicate between them. So my specific area is really interested in integration testing. So when it goes out beyond CI testing, how can we deliver strong signals that help us to safe deployments and to intelligent and give good feedback to whether things should go forward or go back, that sort of thing. And so yeah, I think my interest is first getting up to speed and knowing what's coming up in terms of changes in the spec, and then we definitely are interested in contributing back. We have code in Python, Go, and Java, like all the mentioned things. And so we're definitely interested to see what we can send back. And we have some message types that seem like they don't quite fit in CDEvents land right now, but we'd love to see if it will always be something special, or if maybe it is a common general thing that we can incorporate and work together on. So yeah, we definitely want to start by just listening in and making sure we're doing sensible things in terms of planning, but very soon, we'd love to contribute as well. So is that enough? Anything else? Kind of questions?
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Daniel, thanks for introduction and
Sure.
thanks for joining today. And yeah, right. Andrew, did you join us our meeting before?
Before, but I'm with Ericsson Software Technologies. I'm just working with Jalander and Adam, so I'm just introduce myself as a colleague of Jalander and Adam.
Welcome, Andrew. Thanks. Okay. So let's start with the agenda then. I think first topic we have for today is the TOC project representative. So I put a link to the process there, but basically the CDF Technical Oversight Committee, 4 of the 9 seats are project seats. So they're available for contributor and maintainers to projects. Nominations are open today. And the nominations started in May 22nd and will close on June the 5th. And yeah, so we discussed this with Emil, and I think it would make sense for CDEvents to submit a candidacy for the CDEvents project. And our candidate would be Emil. And so we wanted to submit this to the group and see if there was any comment. Or Emil, do you want to add something? I'm sure I missed.
No, I think that's you covered it. So I can say that I have been representing Ericsson in the group, in the TOC group during the last year. So I've been there already in those meetings. I'm quite used to the meeting, and I would be glad to continue being in the TOC, but then representing one of the projects in CDF, then, namely CDEvents. But as Andrea mentioned, there are currently 9 projects in CDF, and there are only 4 seats. So even though we nominate one from our project, doesn't mean that it will by default be allowed to get a seat there, but there will be an election. And most of you, I guess, could have gotten information about the elections, because there is those of you who are contributors to CDF will be able to also elect or vote on these elections after June 5th, then, when the elections come out. So yeah, I don't mind staying in the TOC, and if you don't mind having me there, then I will I can nominate myself. But if you have any other thoughts, please raise them.
I would just say that thanks a lot, Emil, for make yourself available for this. I think if there are no other votes or comments, we should go ahead and submit the nomination today.
Yeah, we'll do.
Great, thanks. Next on the agenda, we have CDEvents visualization discussion. So I see Adam, Andrew, Jalander from Ericsson. Would you like to drive this topic?
Okay. So, we just have to sort out an echo. Okay. So I'm Andrew Fenner. I was working closely with Adam and Jalander on this. They're the more expert on this within our group, but then I just put together this bit of a presentation. So I'll start sharing my screen. Oh, can you?
Yes, I think I need to stop sharing just a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Share screen. Go to many places. Okay, so this is very much the only purpose of this presentation isn't to give direction, or even it isn't even for us to give what we think is a suggested direction. It's very much just to try and create a discussion to try and see what way we would think about advancing within CDEvents visualization. We've been trying to think about it a little bit about, like, why would you even want to visualize CDEvents? Because that will most definitely drive what type of visualization you would want. I'm sure there are more reasons to do CDEvent visualization than these, but these were just even ones that we could think of in a very short amount of time, which is for troubleshooting, which is a different use case to, for example, monitoring. So which is a different use case from tracking. So with troubleshooting, you're trying to find out what's going wrong. With monitoring, you're trying to make sure you know that it's still going correctly. With tracking, you're sort of being aware of that there's an end-to-end flow of the events, and you're trying to make sure that some sort of a full pipeline of events is working. But I think that there's other uses for visualization, which can be for demonstration purposes. That can be for demonstration of CDEvents themselves. It can be also for the people who are using CDEvents in production environments to demonstrate the use of CDEvents in those production environments, to either to senior management or even to other stakeholders within a CD organization, CI/CD organization. There can be used for promotion. I think that's very much like from the point of view of CDEvents, that CDEvents needs to be able to promote itself. And while the primary purpose of CDEvents isn't about visualization, sometimes it's just easier to have a visualization to make demonstrations and to make presentations easier. And also just from the point of view of understanding the usage of CDEvents, and even from the point of view of understanding the pipelines that the CDEvents would be used in. like I said, this most definitely we don't think this is an exhaustive list, but it's only just to try and highlight that there's multiple different uses for visualization, and that to try and, as I said, the whole purpose of this is to try and stimulate the conversation of what if any visualization is needed. Is there any visualization needed? And what would we start to think about prioritizing? Then again, this is not meant to be comprehensive, but what we sort of thought that there was two major categories of how we could what types of visualization we could have. We could make a CD event specific, CD event aware visualization. So this would be where we would think about creating a tool that would be very, very specific to CD events. It would, as I would say, be CD event aware. It would know what a CD event was. It would know the different types of events. It would know that there could be that CD events were meant to come as part of a flow of events. So it could know about whether an event was good, whether an event was bad. It could, like, as I say, it's just a CD event aware. And that you would make a specific tool that would be a CD event visualizer. Or then I see another way of visualizing the CD events would be where you would take generic tooling that isn't CD event specific, and that you would use that for visualizing the CD events. So these aren't so much CD event aware, but you can make that they can display CD events in certain ways. Then what we have done is we have put together two very brief proofs of, I won't even call them proof of concepts. Well, we've put together two different sets of visualizations, one to try and show the CD event aware tooling and what you would start to get from some CD event aware tooling. And also we have a second small demo where we would show what you would start to get from some generic tooling that we were trying to display CD events in. So we'll just briefly show the CD event aware tooling first. Just two comments on this. First of all, we assumed that there was some sort of a solution to the event. I think it was called event connection, event linking, that events could be linked together, could be connected together in some way. We really don't mind what way they would, what the end solution for that would be. We just assumed that there would be some way that it could be done. And again, also when you're looking at this tool, this is very, very much just a, we've only created this demo just to try and stimulate a conversation. In our own minds, this is not the start of an end tool. This is literally just to create the conversation. We started it probably on too old a tech stack. If we were going to make the tooling, we would try to create a much more modern tech stack. So I'm going to hand over to Adam.
Yep.
And
Adam
will show the tooling that we have here.
Yep. Yeah, I need you to stop sharing screen before I can. Thank you.
Hey, Adam.
Can you see my screen there?
Adam.
Yes. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So this is just first of all, the kind of reference status that we went with. So it's just a bunch of events I kind of grabbed from the Java SDK and added these links to it. the links are more closely what Eiffel what Eiffel events use, because we hadn't quite settled on how linkage would work with CD events yet, but this is just kind of a prototype anyway. So yep, and we just kind of I added a bunch of events of different kind of sequences, as we're calling them now. We were calling them flows for the last while, but sequences, so they can run. Some sequences ran a couple times and some were just ran once or twice. So yep, with this data set, then if you select that from the dummy file, it generates this. So this is kind of each one of these kind of horizontal sequences is a sequence. So it's very small at the moment, but you can see in the bottom left corner it says containing 3 events because the sequence ran 3 times. So there's 3 events for each of these. And when you click into an event, it shows you all of the pipeline run started events, for example, that have been ran with each flow. So it's supposed to say sequence at this point, but so you can see this one's from sequence 4 and this one's from sequence 2, for example. So you can see that. And trying to implement a feature at the moment where if you click on, say you clicked on here, so it'd be different wording, but it would show you all of the events that share a common thing with the pipeline run started. So you could set that so you could have it shares a type or it shares a name or something like that, shares a sequence. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can show from this at the moment.
So like, but the big thing here that is that the tool is aware that in this case, what we've done is we've made that the tool is aware that there's an expected sequence of events that come together. That sequence of events will often be repeated. You know, if you get a source change from a particular source, that would quite often result in the same sequence of tests, deployments, service deployments, and that you'd get the same sequence of events. But this was only an example that we made. But the core thing here is this visualization is aware of what a CD event is, and sort of that there's some combination of CD events that might be shown together, that you might want to aggregate the execution of similar sequences of events together to be displayed separately, because they're actually different use cases depending on the actual sequence of events. But literally we can just show anything.
Cool. So I have some questions, but I don't know if the demo was done, so I wanted to wait, but it sounds like we're done.
Yep. Yeah, we're done with this half
now anyway.
We were done with this half the demo. We have a second demo where we showing the events in a different format completely.
Oh, okay. I'll wait till the end then.
All right. I will stop sharing then. Go back to where we.
Andrea, you had your hand up at one stage. Do you have a question, or we wait to the end?
No, I would just say nice demo.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So then we'll go again. So the second demo is very much using generic tooling. So we're using Prometheus. We also use Loki and the Node API plugin in Grafana and Grafana. And what we have done is we've taken fairly much the same sequence of events that was that Adam used in his his demo, and we wrote a very, 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 very lightweight, very small, totally throwaway Prometheus server, which basically counts as the events come in, basically makes a Prometheus counter of the different events. Also, we made a second server that takes the events and logs them so that they can be displayed in the logging tool. And again, we made the same assumption as we made for the other tool, where we assumed that there was a solution to the event linking, where that it was possible to create a connection between the events. And then what we've done is we've set up a Grafana dashboard to be able to display these events. So now let's try and show this. So this is what I will first of all proviso this by saying I am absolutely 100% not a Grafana or Prometheus expert. So this is put together with basically zero knowledge of Grafana. So the idea here is what we do is we expose as a counter each of the different so we basically read the sequence, read the events as they're coming in, and then basically make a Prometheus counter with the labels. Now this is where you would actually have to make a specific Prometheus server. That was the Prometheus server would have to be CD event aware, because it would have to know what in the counters it was, where the labels it wanted to use and what it wanted to count. But so for example, for the source changed event, source merged event, we were counting the source, and then each repo is counted as a different source. So these are my dummy repos. So we can count, you can see the number of events that came changed merged from a dummy repo. And equally, you can do that for all of the different event types. So again, you can make a specific counter for test finished. And here you can actually put the label on, check whether they've passed or whether they failed. You can have that they're labeled and being counted at that level. So this is just basically raw counters with an amount of labeling. And then, so that's being displayed from the Prometheus server. Then from within Loki, so again, we just take the exact same data set, and we can basically, I always struggle with this. What we can do is we can take the exact same data set and basically make we just log the events. So literally, I just wrote a tiny little Python server, takes the events and logs them. So it's logging the raw events. And then what you can do is you can have the searches that are given by Loki. So I can go in here, I can edit it, I can say, actually, I want to do this correctly. Yeah, no, do the right thing here. So library operations here. No. Okay. I knew how to do it. Here, yeah. So I can type in the text here. So I can look for merged, and I can save that. And I'm sure there's a better way to do this in where's my save button? Then you'll just get that you're looking at just all the changed merged events. Why can't I save this? Because it's behind here. I save this. and then like on my in my dashboard, all I see is the change merged events. So this would be more for the troubleshooting. And then finally, what we also can do is here I'm going to go on to dangerous ground. I can get the latest. I can find a particular event. Then what we've done is we made up a dummy Node API server. What Node API does is it allows you to display a basic graph of node endpoints in Grafana, and fingers crossed this works, because what I've done is it just basically searches through the data that it's received, and then this server is and it failed. This server is much more. It has to be it has to be CD event aware, and then it can display a single sequence of events if they have been try again, if they're connected together. It's trying to search to see if it can find it, but it might not have worked. But the idea would be that you then get a sequence of events. It's much more basic sequence of events than is shown in the tool that Adam had made, because it's not actually a sequence it's not a tool that was developed to actually know about CD events. It only just shows a node and a link to a node. It isn't actually CD events where. No. Yeah, demo gremlins have hit. I don't get my graph. Okay. Then let's go back to the presentation. So, fairly much. Pardon? No, I don't. I can add in screenshots into the presentation, but that's fairly much all we were going to show. Was we were just trying to show. We're trying to stimulate a conversation on what type of visualization should we do? What would this visualization be used for? Where would be useful to put some effort into if we have a time and resources to put some effort in?
That's really great. Thanks, Andrew and Adam. And I think the discussion, the questions that you have, like, what are we trying to visualize? What are the use cases? What kind of tool do we want, dedicated or generic? Those are really great questions. Yeah, thanks a lot then for the nice demos as well. Yeah, I think it would be great to follow up on these and continue. Maybe we could track these questions on GitHub as well, and we could then have more discussions as well. I know Evan, for instance, from Fidelity is also interested in this area. So maybe there is space for collaboration there. But yeah, so thanks again. I think Ben, you had some questions you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I had some questions, but I'm wondering like if I should like save those for like a GitHub issue, or like maybe a separate meeting that's more like focused for that. Mostly because like I know this isn't to like solve this particular issue currently. I know this was just kind of like the people talking about it. But yeah, like as Andrea said, great demo. This is also something we're interested in at Apple. One thing that I'm a little unsure of is, would this wouldn't be a service, right? This would just be like a front end library. Is that correct, or would this be an actual separate service?
I I think if you went for like a full specific visualization, you'd have to make a service to support it. But even for the generic visualization, my thinking was that you would have like three separate services that could be deployed. But all they would be providing was the endpoints that are used by Prometheus and Grafana. They wouldn't be providing the visualization, they would just be providing the data for the visualization.
Okay, yeah, this is something we can definitely talk about more in depth. I think the whole goal is like interoperability with CDEvents. So ideally, if we did our job well, we should be able to just make this a front-end library. But that's not to say that I'm correct here, but that's just like my thinking. Like if the data is always going to be the same across like all these other companies, right? You should be able just to have a front-end library that somehow connects all these with maybe just an API that returns the expected thing. But like I said, that could be more of a discussion, maybe on the GitHub issue. I saw that there were some GitHub issues that was added in the in the chat there, so I can definitely add my questions in there, and then we can have a discussion. And I'm really curious to see how this kind of evolves, and really excited to see that. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, no, and that was the purpose. The purpose was to generate the discussion and to try to even start to align on a sort of an
idea, yeah,
architecture.
yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks again. Yeah, we quite a few things still on the agenda, so let's move to the next topic. Next, we have an update on connecting events. I guess this is from you, Ben.
Yeah. So I put the rough draft, like it's very rough. So this kind of like ties into like what we were just talking about with linking. Andrew, I know you just said like you assume, or it said the assumption would be that the linking would be a proposal that's already in CDEvents. So that's what that's what I'm working on currently. So in the last SIG meeting, me and Emil went through some basic points on the proposal, just kind of like a high overview. But some of the questions that he had caused me to really think about some things. So I'm like, making sure that it satisfies his use cases as well. So it's mostly thinking about how the data is going to be stored on the back end. So I'm going to lay that out fully in the proposal. And then I need to make some updates to the API as well as the use cases. And then kind of go from there. But yeah, like I said, the foundation is there, but like there's still a little bit of like massaging that needs to be done and a little bit more additions. And then I think maybe here in a couple of weeks, it should be ready for review. That's the plan.
So do you like comments on the pull request already now before that, or do you
it's still really rough. Give me a few days. Let me answer a few questions that you had previously, and then I'll ping you I'll ping everyone on Slack when it's ready. But I just wanted to show that it's up, and then you're going to see a lot of commit changes like in the next few days anyway. So I don't want to like stomp over like whatever comments that you have. So just give me a few days.
Yeah, of course. So internal discussions in Apple then were successful. You were
yes. So things are really good. Oh yeah, thanks Emil. So I was telling Emil, I met with a few teams here internally at Apple, and they really liked the proposal. I did bring up some of Emil's points, which they said is perfect and fine. That should be, and they agree that that should be also addressed or at least looked into for the proposal. So definitely really well, and people are really excited to get this into CDEvents.
That's great. Thanks, Ben. So looking forward to the next updates and starting the review.
Yep.
Any question for Ben? All right. Let's move forward then. I didn't realize we had this in the agenda, but so Dan, you already introduced yourself. Is there any other or further discussion
No, I think you can. Yeah, you could just kind of go on and yeah, I don't have anything specific to bring up today.
Cool. Thanks again for the introduction and for joining us today. So we have CDEvents 04 planning. Would it make sense, Emil, if we just went through the next two topics quickly and then we started the planning? Maybe.
Of course, yeah, for sure. Of course.
I'll just move it to the end, and if we don't manage to do much of it, maybe we can put it as a first topic for the next meeting. So we make sure we start the planning.
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to bring some updates to the group. So one of the things we discussed about for next is signed events. So especially if we start having events in like evidence store, we want to use events to do things like audit trail or to trigger part of your workflow. It's important to be able to be sure that the content of the event has not been tampered with. So I looked a little bit into this, and my initial thought was that this might be something that we should delegate to kind of the envelope layer that we use, rather than implementing it in CDEvent itself, like a signature mechanism. So in practice, since we now rely on cloud events for as a binding, that would mean relying on signing a feature from cloud events, which does not exist today. So I had a little bit of I had a look into the CDEvent, the cloud events community, and there were quite a few conversations already on assigning events. There was a proposal written, so there. Let me see. There is an issue. I think this is the main issue I could find, like message producer signature. That dates already back to 2020, but there are some more recent comments. And there was a proposal linked here about signature extensions that was not merged, so it was closed eventually. So I put a comment in here. I also commented on Slack, but my idea is that it would be really great to get this into cloud events rather than having to implement it in CDEvents. The main downside of that being that, of course, if we then switch to a different binding or use different bindings for different use cases, then the signature feature would not be available in those other bindings. So this is kind of the status I have on this right now. And I also mentioned in my comments that I would be interested, and maybe others would be interested in contributing to cloud events if we decided to go this way.
Quick question, Andrea. Do we have any security experts that's part of the SIG, any of the SIGs at all? The reason why is I'm a little hesitant. Not saying that we're not capable, but it would be nice to at least have one security expert, at least to kind of, look things over or, kind of, help with the discussions.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ben. In fact, I think yeah, maybe already at this stage, if it'd be interesting. Yeah, so I'm not personally a security expert, and in fact, if we started putting together a proposal, we definitely would need to have someone involved. When we're starting some collaboration with the OpenSSF, so we could try and search someone from some reviews or comments or collaboration with the OpenSSF for this. But if anyone in this group feels like they have experience in this area, or they know someone who might want to collaborate, I think that'd be great for sure.
Cool. Yeah, let me know, Andrea, because worst case, like I can pull someone and try to get someone in here if absolutely needed.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. Cool.
And I can just add, I think it makes total sense to have this on the envelope level, so to say. I don't really mind, at least spontaneously. I think that's a good idea. And as you said, if another binding would be added to CDEvents later on, obviously, I mean, the CDEvents itself doesn't sign the events then, but it's up to the binding layer to provide that. And if that new binding layer doesn't provide it, then if you use that binding layer, you will not get signed events. I think it's more or less as easy as that. So I don't think that's a major issue as well. So I think this is a good way to go forward here.
Yeah, thanks, Emil. I tend to agree. Okay. And any more comments? I'll try to see if I can ping folks and get some feedback from the cloud events community, at least to see if there is interest from the people who created the original proposals. And if they ask for like collaboration or more like implementation from our side, definitely we'll try to find someone with the right expertise to work on this. Okay. Okay, 12 minutes left. Okay, next thing, I just wanted to bring some updates and a few of the threads that we had open, but feel free to add more to this if you have more updates. In terms of CDEvents and Argo, I created an entry in this project view. We have, just for also new folks, we have this kind of GitHub projects with different views and what is going on with different projects, so that you can find, if you want to find out links to issues on CDEvents side or on the target project side, and you can find them here. So I created an entry for Argo. So we had some discussions with Michael from the Argo project at CDCon. Then unfortunately for him, he got COVID, so things were stuck for a bit, but now he created an initial draft proposal. Just wanted to share it here. So yeah, I think it would be great for us to chime in and comment on this and help, you know, things moving forward, basically. But yeah, so I think it definitely is can create interest in adopting CDEvents on the Argo side. The other
Question there.
Yep.
So this is specifically about Argo CD then, I guess. Is that where Mike is involved? It's not the Argo workflows, it's rather Argo CD, or because I saw it's in that repository.
Yes. Well, it's in the Argo CD. The proposal is here. So with Michael, we chatted at least about actually most of the Argo projects, because there would be event that can be generated from Argo workflow, event that could be generated by Argo CD, incoming events in Argo CD. It's one of the use cases for sure. As well as we discussed a plugin or one adapter for the cloud Argo events project as well. So I don't know whether those would require separate proposals or not. So I need to follow up on that.
Yep, good.
Okay. Harbor is a CNCF project. It's a registry. And back in Amsterdam, KubeCon, they announced support for cloud events. So we went to the Argo booth with ML and discussed with a maintainer there about possibility of integrating CDEvents. Since we didn't have much follow-up from the discussion, I tried joining the Slack channel and chatting with the Harbor folks there. And they seemed reasonably interested in the idea. At least one of them answered. And basically asked to create an RFC if we if we're serious about this. They have a proposals. I thought I put the link into here, but I didn't. Well, I will add a link in here. So they have basically a proposal folder in the Harbor repository where you can add a proposal. So I was planning on creating one. Maybe what I can do is to first create a draft and present it to the group here and then submit it to Harbor. Oh, thanks. Okay, just stop me if you have questions. Otherwise, I'll just continue with the next few entries. So we are having conversation with other registries as well. So we had a meeting today with JFrogs, Emil, and myself, and Fatih were there from this group. The idea being, to present CDEvents to JFrog and discuss the benefits of having CDEvent support in Artifact. We had Jer from Fidelity there as well. So we talked with product people on their side and we're waiting for feedback. So hopefully it will move forward nicely. I also had some conversation with ChainGuard folks, because they recently announced and they implemented the registry on their site. And so I was discussing maybe building a POC with them to have CDEvent support from their registry as well. So other than that, CDEvents plus GitHub. So we had some conversation with Brad. Brad is working on a GitHub app to map GitHub events into CDEvents, and we discussed covering core events, so like pipeline type of, SCM events, you say, as well as core events, so like pipeline type of events. And the last update that I had is from TestCube. So Ole, after the implementation, the definition of the test event was merged and released in 0.3, Ole mentioned that this is now implemented in the dev branches of TestCube, and hopefully there will be soon a release coming out with support for CDEvents. And yeah, Jalander, you want to give us some updates on the Spinnaker side?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the last CDEvents meet, so the PRs are ready for review. So I asked Ben to review some, and if any Spinnaker folks he can add to help the reviewing of CDEvents and Spinnaker integration. So I have a demo ready, like I can set up in any meetings like where more Spinnaker folks can join and provide their feedback on the integration. So I'll be able to demo in any meetings if all are available.
Okay, yeah, that'd actually be really, really helpful. And I'd just be interested in seeing it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Do you think we should have this demo in this group as well? Or should we try to schedule it with the Spinnaker folks?
I mean, either works for me. I'm just more curious to, just how, what it looks like, how it plans, or, how the flow is going to be, and just see it working. But I mean, it's completely up to you guys. It's just more from my interest, to be honest.
I think it's important that we have both people from Spinnaker and CDEvents seeing that such a demo. But if it would be great if we could have it in a common session, us two projects together. I mean, Spinnaker is also a CDF project now, or has been for a long time. So wouldn't that be quite cool to set up a joint project meeting with Spinnaker and CDEvents and discuss these pull requests?
Wait, oh, sorry. Yeah, maybe I misunderstood. I thought you meant like share the demo right now. Yeah, but I do agree, Emil. So what I can do is I'll ping some people on the Spinnaker side of things. And then I'll get some people, and then we can figure out the meeting and the times, so we can see that demo, and then kind of go from there. I'm sure some people from my team specifically would also be interested in seeing it here at Apple as well. So it might be good just to kind of like get as whoever's interested. So it might be quite a big meeting, but that works out perfect.
Cool.
Nice. Thanks, Jalander and Ben. So looking forward to this. All right, I think we only have a couple of minutes left. So what I do is for the next CDEvents working group, I'll put the CDEvents 04 planning on top of the agenda. So we do it as a first item. We don't skip it to another meeting again. But yeah, so I would say, unless there are other questions or final remarks from anyone, yeah, thanks for joining everyone today. Good to see everyone, and until next time.
Yeah, awesome. And great demo again. That was awesome. Yeah, so appreciate everyone and everyone's comments. So yeah, I'll be talking to you guys here in a little bit with organizing that meeting.
Yeah, thank you all.
Great. Thanks,
Great.
Ben. And yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.